What's up, Shicky Boys? It's your Commissioner Andy Lee for the KoKo House Fantasy League with a weekly update. Today's special is my reactions to the draft. First of all, really nice job. Everybody showed up on time, and we finished the draft in under an hour. For the most part, everybody knew what they were doing, so it gave us time to go back to our loved ones, either our wives, our girlfriends, our children, or for those of you who don't have any of the above, you probably went back to surfing questionable things on the internet. You know who you are. My reactions to the draft. Let's take a look at some key points that happened last night that either were pretty good or pretty bad. Round 3, starting with Eddie. The Jashiks drafted Clinton Portis. Eddie, it's no longer 2006 or 2007. I like how you drafted people all throughout the actual draft. Either people who beat your ass in the past or that helped you out in the past. But the past is the past. Clinton Portis in round 3, not really sure about that. Hilarious points. Round 8, I took Owen Daniels. My internet went down. Everyone doesn't believe me. But I'm not sure. I took a big Ophie dude in round 8 when there were still really good players available. But then Augie got payback after making fun of me. His internet went down, and he ended up taking a defense, New York Giants, in round 8. So we got killed by some internet issues. Anyway, overall, good stuff on the draft. I'm now going to look at team by team and my reactions. All right, first team we're going to look at is Lula, good old school Korean band. 천사를 자자 사바 Sava. The manager is Jimmy Kim. Dude, Jimmy has got a baby due in about a month, and considering that he probably didn't have much time to research, he's got a damn good team. In fact, I think he's got the best passing attack in our league, with Aaron Rodgers and studs Moss and Calvin Johnson as his receivers. I have no idea how he got those receivers back to back. The question mark for Jimmy is Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is a great running back, but he's got a weak offensive line. And also the passing attack in Detroit is a big question mark with rookie Stafford starting under center. But if Kevin Smith gets going this year, I actually wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy wins the whole thing, because he's got MJD as his other running back, who obviously is a top 3 stud. The other question mark for Jimmy is his bench. He's got Ochocinco and he's got Palmer as well. So obviously he's really hoping that Cincinnati's offense gets to be where it was about 3 years ago. Really nice pickup with Ray Rice late in the rounds. Bastard, actually, you stole him from me. I was looking at him. Ray Rice, I think, is going to be pretty good this year. He's probably the best running back on the team, but they keep hanging on to McGahee. If McGahee goes down, then Ray Rice will really step in and actually be the stud on that team. Nice job, Jimmy. I think overall, A-. Next team up is Business Time. It's business time. It's business. And that's the manager, Tenny Park. So we're going to look at his team right here. Similar to Jimmy's team, he's got a pretty good passing attack. He's got Jay Cutler, awesome quarterback, but then again, he doesn't have Brandon Marshall and Eddie Royal to throw to. He's got Larry Fitzgerald, no question, probably the best receiver in the game right now. Reggie Wayne, I think he's actually going on the kind of downslope at the moment right now. He's got Anthony Gonzalez, who's taking more in receptions away from him and more touchdown looks as well. The big question mark for me, though, Tenny, is your running backs, Brandon Jacobs and Ronnie Brown. Jacobs is a stud, he's a beast, he's a monster, if he stays healthy, and that's the big question. Ronnie Brown, good, not sure. He's kind of a hit or miss this year. But I like Tenny's bench. He's actually got some really good value picks in Ryan Grant and Jonathan Stewart. I think Stewart's going to be ripping off some of the handoffs this year and goal line touches from D'Angelo Williams. So nice job, Tenny. To me, I'd say maybe a B+ for your team. All right, now we're going to look at Big Mama Shecky. Shecky boy, that's Augie Kim, the manager. I love how he uses this team name in other leagues who have no idea what a Shecky is and no idea what a Big Mama Shecky is. I don't think I know what it means either, but it's cool. All right, Augie, on the flip side here, from compared to the last 2 teams that we reviewed, his strong point right here is his running game. He's got ridiculous running backs with Adrian Peterson and Chris Johnson in his starting lineup, so I have no questions he's going to kill people there. And overall, his passing attack is pretty good. I'd say Wes Wecker and TJ Hushmahu are probably, I don't think they're the elite #1 receivers. Maybe Hushmahu will be, but Wes Wecker is obviously a #2 receiver out in New England. And Hushmahu is going to have Hasselbeck passing to him, who's going to have a good year. So maybe he'll kill us there. Tom Brady, of course, is going to have a great year bouncing back. One thing I noticed about Augie's team is that he's really depending on New England, San Diego doing well this year, because he's got a running back, a receiver, and a quarterback from both teams. And so he's really hoping that those 2 teams really do well this year. If they do, he's going to kill it. If they don't, he's going to die. Yogurt Soju, which the manager is Rich Kim. Rich is newcomer to not only fantasy football, but just to manhood. I'm so impressed with him actually recognizing the fact fact that he is a man and he joined fantasy football this year. Really good on you, Rich. And you drafted pretty damn well. So I know it's not because you know football, but you probably did your geeky media research and pulled up some magazines that helped you out through this. But really nice job. You've got a stud quarterback in Rivers who likes to chuck the ball. You've got the second best receiver in Andre Johnson. Dwayne Bowe, not really sure about him. I mean, he's a great receiver, but obviously a big question mark at quarterback in Kansas City right now. Your running back's a little questionable. Westbrook, of course, he's kind of one of those guys that does it all and is great, but I really think he's coming to the end of his career, and he always gets hurt. Always gets hurt. Marion Barber, big question mark there as well. I mean, he's great, but not really sure. Last year he was kind of a disappointment. On your bench, you got some great value picks like Anthony Gonzalez late. You stole him from me. Chris Cooley is a good backup tight end. You probably don't need two tight ends on your team. And I like how you picked up Noshawn Moreno, who's a rookie right now. And it's a gamble, as it is always with running backs. But sometimes gambling is what you got to do to prove yourself in a fantasy league and prove that you are a namja. Nice job, Rich. Yogurt soju. If you fail, you will have yogurt soju all over your face, if you know what I mean, from me. Next up is Shecky Bovines, also a new guy to our fantasy league, but not new to football and fantasy. It's been a while for Peter Sun Woo, but we're glad that we have him because he's just a funny shit talker, and it's good to have him on board. No questions at his quarterback position. He's got the best one around from a fantasy perspective. His wide receivers are a question for me. Bolden, obviously, is number 2 guy. Terrell Owens is number 1 out there in Buffalo, but Buffalo just got rid of their offensive coordinator. There's some big question marks and issues there to deal with. His running backs are pretty good as well. He's got D'Angelo, who's a stud. Slayton might hit that sophomore slump, so that might be the make it or break it for the Shecky Bovines this year. He's got a good bench in the sense that he's actually taking some risk with the Larry Johnson, who's obviously probably 95 years old, but we're going to see if he actually bounces back and has a good year this year. Overall, Shecky Bovines, even though I was ragging on you, I think you got a pretty good team. I'd say B+. Okay, now we're going to review the tteokbokkis. This team is amazing. Best manager around, Andy Lee. Thank you very much. Honestly, I'm pretty damn happy with the way I drafted this year. I've got a pretty good quarterback in Donovan McNabb. Obviously, he's got a lot to prove. And with Vic behind him, I think he's really going to have a lot to prove there. Also, I've got some really good receivers in Roddy White and Marquez Colston. I wouldn't say that they're the elite of the elite. Colston obviously had a down year, and I'm really hoping he'll bounce back this year. Roddy White, obviously, Atlanta offense is one of the most exciting teams right now to watch. I got my stud running back in Forte. Steven Jackson's my gamble. All the rankings say that he's going to have a good year, but I still felt nervous about that because he's on the Rams, man, and they're the LA Lambs, and they're not the greatest show on turf anymore. Owen Daniels was my random pick, and Roy Williams, too, was also a random pick when my internet went out. My bench, I'm actually alright with. I've got McFadden, who's a big gamble this year. Raiders are kind of always questionable, but we'll see how they do. Overall, my rating on myself, I'd say an A-. Jashik's manager, Eddie Park. The Jashiks, in my opinion, has the best team if this was 2006. Eddie, you drafted names that were familiar to you from a couple of years ago, and it's hilarious. People like Reggie Bush, everyone knows that he's a big question mark this year, and he's a number 2 running back. And then you drafted people like Portis with your first running back pick. Portis, we'll see. I mean, he's got a little life in him, but he hasn't really proved much lately. Brandon Marshall, I know you liked him last year, but he's not in the same situation. He doesn't have a great quarterback thrown to him. And Steve Smith, I mean, he's good, but again, he's kind of on the downturn. You definitely went with age instead of youth. And maybe that'll pay off for us if you actually pay off for you if they end up proving that they've still got a little miles left in the engine. But I don't know, big risk with your old team. You're such an Ajashi, you drafted Ajashis. Last but not least is La Burrita. The manager is Sunshin Kim. Sunshin or Sunjin? I don't know. You say Sunjin, I say Sunshin. Sunjin also went with experience and age over youth. He's got old school guys like Manning, Gore, Tomlinson. And so it would really be a matter of if these guys can prove that they've got miles left in the engine. I really like his pickup, though, with Greg Jennings. Obviously, he's going to have a great year this year. We all expect him to do so with Green Bay's high-powered offense led by Aaron Rodgers. He's got some injury-prone people on the bench like Willie Parker, so we'll see if he can pull through with that. But nice job overall, Sunjin. I'd say a B. Alright fellas, that concludes my Week 1 fantasy video update for the KoKo House League. Couple last things I'd like to mention is if you notice this year, this is sweet. We've got free stat tracker, and this is key. because you used to have to pay $10 for it in the past, and now we have live stat tracker in Yahoo. Thank you, Yahoo. And the other thing that Rich found is actually if you've got an iPhone, they've actually got a Yahoo Fantasy Football app where you can set your lineup, you can look at breaking news all on your iPhone, which is fantastic. Great stuff. Alright guys, set your lineups. The first game this week is Pittsburgh and Tennessee on Thursday, and get ready to get your ass beat and eat my tteokbokis. Biatch.